better daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Happy Tuesday. It is Nutrition Tip Tuesday, and Nutrition Tip Tuesday is the day that we go through something nutrition related to help you on your 1% better journey. Today, we're going to talk about eating protein for breakfast. That is, breaking your fast with protein. Now, I've spoken at length at a number of different places in our community about the importance of protein and whatnot, and so I'm going to review just a little bit of that, but I want to emphasize the breaking of your fast with protein in the morning. So a quick question to the group, if you're joining me live or if you're catching this replay in the comments, how many grams of protein do you eat when you break your fast? And I say break your fast because some people eat breakfast around breakfast time, and some people eat breakfast around lunchtime. But it's still technically breakfast. It's break fast. It's what you finished fasting with and you turned into a fed state, right? There's a fasted state. That means I haven't eaten anything. I haven't consumed any nutrients or building blocks. And therefore my body is fasted. It has to use what is available to it in order to function and repair itself and blah, blah, blah. And a fed state is when you are actively digesting food and using the building blocks that come from the food that you're digesting and the fuel that you're digesting in order to continue, going at it. So protein, breaking your fast with protein. How many grams of protein do you eat in your first meal of the day, your break fast? Good morning, KT. Thanks for joining us this morning. So your fast is important because whether you fast all night long or maybe you fast all day long or whatever your fasted window is, unless you're eating in your sleep, all of us fast. That's a thing. That's what we do when we rest, right? When you finish fasting, you have the opportunity to set the tone, metabolically speaking, for your day. Recently, I was talking to a guy that I admire. I admire this guy in our community. He's a hardworking guy. He's a great husband, great father. He runs his own business. He goes to CrossFit 4 days a week. I mean, he's really working hard to show up best for himself and his community. He's a very admirable guy. And I asked him, because he has a particularly difficult day, 1 day a week, that just requires a lot of him, requires him to be all things to all people and moving and grooving and all that stuff. And I have days like that as well. And we were talking about how we prepare for those days. And he said, yeah, I like to balance my blood sugar on those days. I'm like, oh, that's so good. I'm so glad you said that. What do you do to balance your blood sugar? And mind you, although this guy means very, very well, he does not have a background in nutrition and whatnot. And so his understanding of what he's doing for himself doesn't actually line up with what he's actually doing for himself. So he says, I want to balance my blood sugar on those days, keep my energy consistent. I've crashed in the past and it's hard. I'm like, oh yeah, 100% get that. What are you doing to balance your blood sugar? And he says, I start my day with a bowl of oatmeal and an apple. And that keeps me, keeps my blood sugar balanced. And I was like, bowl of oatmeal and an apple. Have you ever tried some eggs and left it at that? And he's like, no, I've never tried that before. I'm like, give it a shot, see how it goes. And he told me, he goes, whoa, it was a crazy difference. I had so much, my energy was way better all morning. I thought oatmeal and apple was helping to balance my blood sugar. Why did I have better energy with eggs? So I want to explain that too. I want to explain why if we start your day with a healthy dose of protein, and I don't care if you break your fast at 6 a.m. or if you break your fast at 12 p.m., I don't care. But when you break your fast with protein-based foods, and I'm not saying carbs are bad, we'll talk about that in a second. When you break your fast with protein-based foods, it has a different metabolic effect on you than when you break your fast with, let's say, carbohydrates, right? And this is true if you make a bowl of oatmeal at home and have an apple, or if you roll through like the McDonald's drive-thru and grab a sausage biscuit. If you look at the nutrition facts for a sausage biscuit, you're getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 80 grams of carbohydrates. 60 to 80 grams of carbohydrates. And about 12 to 14 grams of fat and about 4 to 5 grams of protein. Not a lot of protein, lots and lots of carbs and fats, right? So what that means for you is if, like my friend who I admire, if you start your day with a large amount of fuel and very little building blocks, carbs and fats are fuel, protein are building blocks. If you start your day with a large amount of fuel and very little building blocks, then your day will be spent. Your body will spend a lot of its day processing through the fuel that you ate with very little building blocks. So it's very difficult for you to recover. And you'll find that it takes a lot of energy to process fuel and to use it. And so what you'll do is you'll start to enter this cycle of craving, and you'll also start to enter this cycle of carbohydrate dependence. Now, carbs aren't bad. If you are exercising regularly, really hard in the morning, or you just finished a really hard workout that evening and you're recovering, you're going to need some carbs in your life. Likely. It's not necessary, but it will help a lot with performance and recovery and muscle growth. But most people that I meet are breaking their fast with way more carbs and way more fats than proteins. And that is a problem. That is a problem, metabolically speaking. You are shooting yourself in the foot at the very first meal of the day. Don't do that to yourself. Break your fast with protein. Think of protein as the primary thing that's worth breaking your fast with, and everything else is secondary. So for instance, this morning, I had 4 eggs for breakfast. I had a little bit of pineapple. I had a piece of Dave's whole wheat bread, and I put some butter on that, and I put some pepper jelly on that, and it was wonderful. I have a very intense workout planned in a couple hours, and so I'm going to make great use of those carbohydrates. But my eggs made up the vast majority of that meal, right? So very, very large amount of protein, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 grams of protein in those 4 eggs, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 grams of fat in those eggs. So I started out my day with protein being the base, and then I fueled my body with a few other supplementary things. And that's so, so important. I don't care who you are, what your goals are, or what your history is. Even though we're bio-individuals, most of the time, the human body, there's very few circumstances this is not the case. Most of the time, the human body will do best if we break our fast with protein at the center of our food, and then everything else is supplemental to that. So I'm curious, how many grams of protein do you eat when you break your fast, either in the morning or at lunchtime? And do you think that's enough? Do you have consistent energy throughout the day? Are you having any trouble with cravings? Are you noticing that you're recovering really well, or are you having a hard time recovering and finding yourself injured a lot? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if there's no other reason, if you think, hey, am I one of those people, Alex? Here's my situation. You're very welcome to ask. I'm very happy to answer that for you, whether or not I think you might be one of the exceptions who needs to break their fast with something other than a protein-heavy meal. But if there's nothing else, I'm so excited for you to continue improving on your protein intake first thing in the morning. Guys, this has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live for Nutrition Tip Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me, and tomorrow is Wild Wednesday. Who knows what we're going to be up to then. But until then, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.